Hey guys, all right, so this video is going to be about how we took the 99 per month, our 99 per month plan and scaled it up to 10K, 15K, going on 20K now, a month in recurring revenue. How we did it with high level, with no team, no developers, and no VC venture capital, just solely systems. Okay, so first to start out with, why did I build this on a high level? Well, obviously, I don't have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to have a product developed, right? It allowed us to sell a product that has multiple tools in it. SaaS mode on high level allowed us to make it resellable, scalable, accounts, sub accounts getting created instantly, login credentials being sent out securely, safely, again, instantly. And then, building out the automations made our support, very, very light. So the initial setup, how we got started with, initially scaling the product at the 99 per month base plan up to 100 active users. Obviously, get a high level account, picking a niche, right? If you guys watch some of my other videos, I talk about, figuring out picking a niche, either that you have experience in or one that you're interested in learning more about. We focused on one offer. That offer was very, very specific to ads, right? Being able to, our users allowing, being able to generate their own leads, right? Allowing them to launch their own ads within clicks within the system, right? That was a combination of high level and UpHex. We merged those two together, and basically that was our product and offer. Okay. What made it work? So there's a few things that kind of are in play here, but really what allowed us to kind of make this work, especially at 99, right? If you've seen other high level agencies or SaaS, some of them are priced a little bit higher, 199, 299, 399, which is all good and fine. But in terms of scale and like churn, what I've noticed, because we initially started at that, we started at 397, 297, 197, and then 99. And doesn't really matter how good the product was. We have, I think, one of the best products in our niche, in the industry. So for us, seeing the numbers and the churn rate on, again, 397, 297, 197, and 99, the churn was obviously way lower on 99. We want to make sure that we have a product where our churn is very, very low. That's what our goal is right now, is ensuring our churn is like 12, 11, 10, below 10% is really what we want to optimize for. Because from there, we can either upsell different products later on, or just have a super sticky business and hopefully in the future, go for an exit, and somebody that, wants to come and acquire the company, there's so much revenue potential that's been left on the table that it makes sense for them to give us a, very high multiple to buy the recurring revenue, but then also be able to, either increase price or, sell additional products. So for us, it was a combination of different things that we discussed, Hunter and I, about how we wanted to kind of go about, pricing and making the whole product and company work. But really what made it work for us was, setting up automations. Again, I kind of came from the agency space, so I had, experience with different, tricks and nicks that worked, allowing us to, using Skool, and that allowed us to kind of have a community-based onboarding. So, on average, we bring in 15 to 20 new users a week. We can't be onboarding those people one-to-one, right? So a community-based onboarding system like Skool allowed us to kind of continue ramping up the volume. And then obviously a strong offer, right? Our offer is everybody talks about offers being no-brainers. Our offer is actually a no-brainer, right? Like, it's either they're going to work with us or they're going to spend thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially on coaching and figuring out how all this whole marketing thing works and lead gen thing works, or they're going to go and work with an agency and get put in a contract and still, not necessarily get the results that they're looking for. So in terms of like a product and a no-brainer offer, we're truly that, right? So this obviously is only going to work if you have those types of offers. Like you're not going to be able to just slide into this whole business with like some shoddy stuff, right? Like you have to have a good offer, you have to have a good product. But once you do, it's like clockwork, right? Like we have continuously people referring us. We're starting to roll out now an affiliate program, and we're small scale. We're not huge yet, but you know, the reviews that we get, we continuously get positive reviews in the community. We don't even ask for them. People just go out of their way to leave them. So for us, that's like feedback telling us like, hey, you guys have a great product, keep going, right? So those were the things that really kind of gave us the feedback that, okay, this is working. We need to still obviously work out some other economics around the business, but the traction that we're getting is positive. Okay. What we did not waste time on, and I personally fell into this trap 5 years ago when I first got started with high level, is build custom this and do this and hire all these VAs and all this craziness, right? This time around, we didn't do any of that, or I didn't do any of that. No custom features, no support teams, not working with everybody, right? Sometimes when you get started, it's like, hey, you just want to get your first client, which is, I'm not going to say don't do it. Don't not work with everyone. Like get your feet wet, get into the industry, get a few clients, make some mistakes, but don't scale like that. So we did not waste time on these things, right? Custom features, we do not have custom features. There's other features in the system that they get, but we don't push it. If they come across it and they see it, great. Sometimes we have a couple of videos in our academy that, is around those features that if they want to go and get set up, great. But our initial offer, our initial, pitch and product that, is being sold is not around anything else other than, the automations and the ads launcher with, pre-built ads. So don't try to be everything to everybody. Get dialed in on your product, get dialed in on your offer. Initially, how we got started, where our first wins really came from, in early revenue, kind of focusing on, hey, let's just get 10 users. Let's see what the feedback is. Let's see what churn is. Let's see what, the economics are and kind of work from there, right? Reverse engineer kind of everything from that. Initially, it was just basic ad launched to a basic booking funnel. So add to landing page that has a calendar, go and schedule a one-to-one demo. I have a sales rep. So he did the demo. We ran that for about a month. And I think, and Hunter will correct me if I'm wrong on this in the comments, but I'm pretty sure in that first month with that just simple basic setup, I think we brought in like 22 or 24 new users, which was amazing, right? We were profitable on the front end. We were priced a little bit more, 297, because we were doing one-to-one demos. So obviously there's a commission involved for the sales rep. So, the numbers have to work. And our lead cost, our demo cost was a little bit higher because we had some qualifications in place. But it was a win, right? It was good. But from there, it was like, okay, I don't, I kind of came into this initially. I don't want to grow a sales team again. There's too many moving pieces. Let's figure out something, either a self checkout or a webinar, right? To kind of bring on a large user base, because the only, way for me that I want to operate is at a large user base. What is that going to look like? So from there, from, doing the one-to-one demos, getting our first 10 users, kind of looking at the numbers, then we decided to switch, okay, into live weekly webinars. So basically the same concept. All a webinar is your one-to-one sales call in a more informational type of way, right? You're not getting that kind of one-to-one feedback when you're talking to somebody one-on-one. And that one-to-one feedback is primarily just allows you to kind of have some ammunition with how to handle objections, right? So you don't get as much of that with a webinar, but you do get a lot of engagement in the chat, which drives and fuels other sales, right? So with the live weekly webinars, and again, that took a little bit of time for us to understand that specific sentence I just said. All your webinar is your one-to-one, either you have a sales deck or a pitch deck. All it is that deck with, a little bit of a beginning and a little bit of end with some, images and things throughout, right? Keep it engaging. So now we run our ads, register for the webinar. We have typically on average on every week 50 to 150 registrants per week, right? So in order for me to have that, like 150 registrants per week, I would need, 3 to 4 sales reps full time. Versus now I have, one salesperson doing the webinar once a week. He works a couple hours and, makes his commission off, a couple $100 an hour is what it kind of equates to. And then, we bring on the user base, they go into the community, self-onboard, and it's good. And then what we also did is we introduced, because the numbers on the front end were good. We were always break even on the front end, more or less. Break even on the ad spend, meaning we spend $1 in advertising. We basically pulled $1 back in from, paid users. We spend 100, we pull in 100. Always break even. But we noticed we were leaving a little bit of money on the table and things were still a little bit tight on the front end with running that type of a model. But in addition to that, we had users that were in the community saying, hey, I don't have a lot of time and I'm not very technically inclined. Can I just pay you guys to do a call with me and help me set this up, right? Get my ads launched. And we said, hey, there's people asking about this. Why not, right? So we added a done for you upsell offer. If they want to take it, great. If they don't, the majority of our users don't, but the small percentage that don't want to go through the academy and themselves, they can go through, pay for a done for you setup. We do a one-to-one call with them, get their ads live, plug in a few pieces of information and they have the system set up, right? And they kind of like that, initial feedback just to make sure like, hey, am I doing everything right? It's kind of more of a strategy call for them, which is super valuable for them, right? So a one-time fee for them, it allows them to kind of get that peace of mind, get introduced to us get introduced to them. And then, we collect more money on the front end. We're profitable on the front end, plus the recurring on the back end, right? So having that one specific additional upsell really changed the economics of everything. And now it allows us to really have almost a self-liquidating funnel that we can put in $1 and consistently always make back 3, which is beautiful, right? That's the whole point and the kind of whole mindset that you want to have when you're building a business is like, hey, can I put in, because, especially when you're building a business, there's only so much you can kind of do from the grind mindset, right? Grind, cold call, demos, bring in new sales, whatever. But if you're looking to scale something, I would say 90% of the time that's going to come from some sort of paid advertising. The other 10%, that's why I'm not saying it's 100. The other 10%, I personally would say, maybe some sort of organic video or something goes viral, whatever. But the 90% of, your scale is going to come from some sort of paid advertising, right? More eyeballs on your offer, more eyeballs on your company. And in order to profitably scale and advertise, you need to kind of make sure your initial cash collected is high enough where, I use the example, spend $1, make back 3. Why? Well, you spend $1, you make back 3. Great. You don't put that $3 just in your pocket. Out of that 3, $1 goes to buy your next customer, right? Another dollar goes to buy that previous customer. And then another dollar is left over that either you put in your pocket or you leave it in the company's pocket and disperse it for continuous, development, investment into the company. So that's kind of how I would think about, scaling and specifically what our thought process was going into this is like, how do we kind of create a product here that allows us to truly do that and scale basically self-liquidating, right? So the biggest lessons kind of that we had and what we're really doubling down on now is niching, right? Initially, it was kind of figuring out, okay, what niche is technically inclined somewhat, relatively young, right? Understand computers, are focused on sales heavy, always buying leads, and is growing, right? And for us, that was the industry. I'm not going to disclose it, but that was the industry that we ended up going with, right? We found one that we liked, we knew a little bit of. We've worked with them in the past on the agency side, and that's the one that we, went with. Lesson number two is automate the onboarding early. Initially, our onboarding was all done one-to-one, right? When we were doing 297, 199, and even 99s, we had one-to-one onboardings. We transitioned at the 99 price to group style onboardings, right? One-to-many onboardings, but still, it was a problem. So automate your onboarding early. And how I'm saying automated is basically use a community, create some sort of an academy. You can either create it yourself or you can even buy these academies, specifically tailored around high level self onboarding, videos, and leverage that, right? Let users kind of onboard themselves. And then, if they're getting acquainted with the system and still have some additional questions, they can reach out to you, reach out to your support team, or put it in the academy, right? I mentioned in my previous videos, leveraging the academy for support is huge for other users because a lot of other people are afraid to ask questions. If one person asks a question, you answer it, it answers it now for, 5, 10, 15 other people and drops your churn. Okay. And like I said, lesson number three, keep churn low with the community. Exactly what I just said. Having a community will allow you to streamline your support, answer questions one to many, and everybody sees it. And it creates a transparency, right? Like one thing that I really have noticed is having the community kind of puts customers in a place that, they can see everything that's going on, right? They could at any instant, and they know this, right? Drop a bomb in the community and, complain about something and they go through our community. I see, they scroll through, they check things out. We don't have anything, that's kind of a bomb in there, right? Everything is like, hey, this product is awesome, or hey, I have a question about this tech feature, right? So as they kind of go through, it's like now we're proving our, capabilities to them. So keeping the community or having a community is going to really keep your churn low. Okay. So, guys, if you want to do this yourself, if you have questions, if you want to just join a community, we do have a community down below in the description. Join it. It's 100% free. I'll continue making these types of videos, but go ahead, join the community down below. We have some trainings in there and some coaching and, whatever you guys want to ask us, we're always there to support. All right. We'll see you guys in the next one.